Pause right here. For anyone drawing SSI, SSDI, or Social Security benefits, the coming 60 seconds might transform your monetary outlook. Beginning now, the Social Security Administration has formally implemented regulation modifications already impacting countless American citizens. Most elderly recipients remain completely unaware of what's happening with their payments. We're discussing modifications potentially putting additional funds into your account or causing catastrophic reductions if deadlines pass. These aren't speculations. These aren't suggestions. This is unfolding currently. Do you draw SSI? Your resource thresholds just shifted. Without prompt action, you risk being marked for an excess payment that removes funds directly from your benefit. Do you draw SSDI? There's a crucial revision to the substantial gainful activity regulations your caseworker likely hasn't mentioned yet. For retired elderly individuals drawing standard Social Security, the recent COLA modifications and earnings regulation revisions might either increase your monthly benefit or silently decrease it, based on one factor you might have missed. Countless elderly Americans are already contacting their neighborhood SSA locations frantically. Don't become another one. Throughout this video, I'm explaining each individual modification, its significance for your particular benefit category, which deadlines absolutely require attention, and precisely which actions to implement today protecting your income. This represents the most crucial Social Security information of 2026, and you discovered it perfectly timed. Press that like button immediately, so YouTube continues distributing this information to elderly individuals desperately requiring it. Before we proceed with everything, I simply want to pause and say, greetings. Your presence here demonstrates your concern about your monetary stability. That indicates you're already one step beyond countless Americans completely unaware what just transformed. Therefore, let's ensure you exit this video fully educated, because what we're addressing today affects each individual person drawing Social Security income throughout this nation. Whether that's SSI, SSDI, or your standard retirement benefit, each one of you requires hearing this. Currently, I recognize numerous individuals feel like they've encountered the expression Social Security modifications previously, and nothing ever truly seems impacting them personally. But I require your understanding something immediately. What's occurring during 2026 is fundamentally distinct from the minor tweaks and adjustments we've witnessed during prior years. These represent structural modifications, revisions to the regulations, the computations, the limits, and the qualification standards, determining how much money you draw and whether you remain qualifying. This isn't a COLA adjustment narrative. This isn't a cost of living increase rising a few percentage points and then life continues. This represents a complete restructuring of multiple key SSA regulations that have existed for generations, and the consequences are being experienced right now today by actual individuals just like yourself. Allow me to begin by providing you some crucial background because context is important here. The Social Security Administration has experienced tremendous pressure throughout the recent multiple years. You've likely encountered information about the Social Security Trust Fund and worries regarding its long-term sustainability. Throughout years, specialists, economists, and legislators have been cautioning that without substantial modifications, the program could encounter serious deficits within the upcoming decade. Currently, to be completely transparent, Social Security isn't disappearing. Allow me to repeat that again for anyone who might be experiencing anxiety currently. Social Security isn't disappearing. However, the method benefits are computed, managed, and allocated is transforming, and those transformations have genuine consequences for the individuals who rely on these programs to live. The SSA has additionally made substantial internal operational modifications. They have upgraded their platforms, revised how they handle overpayment claims, modified how they correspond with beneficiaries, and adjusted multiple key administrative processes affecting how rapidly your case gets handled and how disagreements get resolved. If you've ever needed to interact with the SSA regarding an error or a miscalculation, you understand how stressful and perplexing that process can become. The recent procedures are intended to simplify things, but without understanding them, they can actually operate against you. Therefore, let's begin with SSI, Supplemental Security Income, because if you're enrolled in this program, you require paying very close attention to what I'm preparing to share you. SSI is structured for individuals with restricted income and resources, And one of the primary regulations that has consistently governed this program is the resource threshold. Throughout decades, the resource threshold for an individual drawing SSI was limited at $2,000 in countable assets. And for a couple, it was $3,000. That indicates if you possessed more than that amount sitting in a bank account or in other countable resources, you could be disqualified from drawing SSI benefits completely. And here's the situation. Those thresholds had not been revised since 1989. That's correct. Throughout over 3 decades, those figures never transformed, even as inflation pushed the expense of everything else through the ceiling. Currently, during 2026, we are finally witnessing movement on this. The resource thresholds under SSI have been adjusted upward as part of broader modernization initiatives. This is genuinely positive information for individuals who have been carefully controlling every single dollar simply to remain under that limit. Throughout years, elderly individuals and individuals with disabilities were essentially being penalized for accumulating money. If you attempted to place aside a small amount for an emergency, you risked forfeiting your benefits. Consider how incorrect that is. The program that was structured to assist the most vulnerable individuals in our nation was actually punishing them for being responsible with money. The recent regulations begin to correct this problem, and that is something worth recognizing and being appreciative for. However, here is where you require being cautious, because with elevated limits comes elevated responsibility to document your finances precisely. The SSA will be monitoring closely, and their upgraded automated platforms are significantly better at identifying discrepancies between what you document and what actually appears in financial records. If you draw SSI and you have not documented a bank account, a financial contribution, or any other asset precisely, you require taking care of that immediately. The consequences of an overpayment determination where the SSA decides you were paid more than you should have been have additionally transformed during 2026 and not necessarily in your favor. Let's discuss overpayments because this is one of the areas where I've witnessed elderly individuals get blindsided the hardest. During previous years, when the SSA determined that you had been overpaid, the standard recovery percentage, indicating the amount they could withhold from your monthly check to recover what they claimed you owed, was 10% of your benefit. That was painful enough for someone living on a fixed income, but it was controllable for most individuals. Earlier regulation modifications began moving that recovery percentage upward, and as of 2026, the SSA has continued adjusting how aggressively they pursue overpayment recovery. If you draw a notice stating you have been overpaid, do not disregard it. I cannot emphasize this enough. Do not place that letter aside and assume it will resolve itself. You have protections in this process, including the protection to appeal and the protection to request a waiver if repaying the overpayment would cause you genuine financial hardship. However, those protections only activate if you act within the deadline, and that deadline is typically 60 days from the date on the notice, not the date you drew it. If you receive an overpayment notice and you believe it is incorrect, and numerous of them are, you require filing a request for reconsideration immediately. You can accomplish this online, by telephone or in person at your neighborhood SSA location. You additionally have the option to request a waiver of the overpayment, which indicates you're requesting the SSA to forgive the debt completely because repaying it would create serious financial hardship for you. These waivers are approved more frequently than individuals realize, but only if you request them. The SSA is not going to volunteer that information. This is why it is so crucial to understand your protections and to take action the moment you draw any correspondence from the Social Security Administration. Currently, let's proceed to SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance. Because if you draw this benefit, there are specific 2026 modifications that apply to you in methods that do not affect other beneficiaries. SSDI is for individuals who have worked and contributed into Social Security, but have become disabled and can no longer participate in what the SSA calls substantial gainful activity, or SGA. The SGA limit is essentially the maximum amount of money you can earn from work while still qualifying for SSDI. If you earn above that limit, the SSA may determine that you are no longer disabled for purposes of the program, and your benefits could be terminated. During 2026, the SGA limit has been revised. The recent monthly earnings threshold for non-blind individuals has increased, and for individuals who are blind, the threshold is even higher. This is adjusted annually based on modifications in national average wages. Therefore, this is not unusual, but it matters a great deal if you are someone who is attempting to test the waters with part-time work or a small side income. Numerous SSDI recipients desire to attempt returning to work, even part-time, but they are terrified of forfeiting their benefits. And that fear is completely understandable because SSDI is frequently connected to Medicare coverage, which is lifeline for individuals managing serious health conditions. What most individuals do not understand is that SSDI comes with built-in work incentives, structured to make the transition back to employment less frightening. The trial work period is one of the most crucial of these. It permits you to test your ability to work for up to 9 months, and those months do not have to be consecutive without forfeiting your SSDI benefits, regardless of how much you earn during those months. After the trial work period concludes, you enter a 36-month extended period of eligibility, during which your benefits can be reinstated in any month that your earnings fall below the SGA level. These protections exist to encourage individuals to attempt working without the all-or-nothing fear of forfeiting everything, but they only operate if you document your work activity to the SSA properly and on time. The 2026 modifications have additionally revised certain Ticket to Work program guidelines, which is a voluntary program that connects SSDI and SSI recipients with approved employment networks and vocational rehabilitation services. If you have been on disability for a while, and you're wondering whether returning to work is possible, the Ticket to Work program is worth investigating. It provides free support services, and participating in it can actually protect your benefits during the process of exploring work options. There is no expense to you, and there is no pressure. It is completely voluntary. Currently, I want to dedicate some substantial time discussing retired elderly individuals who draw regular Social Security retirement benefits, because the modifications that affect this group are both exciting and potentially confusing, and I want to make certain you comprehend every piece of it. If you worked for most of your adult life, contributed into Social Security for decades, and you are currently drawing your retirement benefit, here is what 2026 indicates for you. Initially, let's revisit the COLA, the cost of living adjustment that went into effect at the beginning of this year. The COLA for 2026 was computed based on modifications in the Consumer Price Index for urban wage earners and clerical workers, known as the CPIW, measured over a specific period in the prior year. The adjustment represents the SSA's attempt to maintain your benefit in line with inflation so that your purchasing power doesn't erode over time. Currently, numerous elderly individuals feel, and honestly rightly so, that the CPIW does not accurately represent the expenses that older Americans actually encounter. Healthcare, prescription medications, housing. These categories tend to increase faster than the overall inflation rate that the CPIW captures. There has been long-running advocacy to shift Social Security's COLA computations to use an alternative index called the CPIE, which specifically tracks the spending patterns of Americans 62 and older, and which generally produces a higher adjustment. That push continues during 2026, and it is worth remaining informed about because if that modification ever occurs, it could indicate meaningfully higher benefit increases for retirees. Secondly, and this is critical for anyone who is still working while drawing Social Security retirement benefits, the earnings threshold regulations have been revised for 2026. If you are below your full retirement age and you are drawing Social Security while also working, there is an annual earnings threshold. If you exceed that threshold, the SSA withholds a portion of your Social Security benefit, $1 for every $2 you earn above the limit. In the year you reach full retirement age, the regulations are slightly different, and once you are past your full retirement age, the earnings threshold disappears completely, indicating you can earn as much as you desire without any reduction in your Social Security check. The specific dollar limits for these thresholds have been adjusted for 2026. Therefore, if this applies to you, make certain you understand the current figures before you make any decisions about work. Thirdly, I want to discuss the Social Security Fairness Act because it represents one of the most substantial legislative modifications affecting Social Security in years. You may have encountered information about the windfall elimination provision and the government pension offset, two provisions that have reduced or eliminated Social Security benefits for countless public sector workers, teachers, police officers, firefighters, and government employees who additionally draw a pension from a job that was not covered by Social Security. The argument was that these individuals should not draw the same benefit formula as workers who spent their complete careers in Social Security covered employment for decades. That argument held, and countless public servants witnessed their Social Security benefits substantially reduced or completely wiped out, even after contributing into the system for years through other jobs. The Social Security Fairness Act transformed all of that. The repeal of the windfall elimination provision and the government pension offset indicates that those reductions no longer apply. If you are someone who was affected by these provisions, or if you have a spouse or family member who was, this is potentially life-changing money. Some individuals are witnessing monthly benefit increases of hundreds of dollars. Surviving spouses in particular have been affected substantially because the government pension offset could reduce or completely eliminate a surviving spouse's benefit if they additionally drew a government pension. With the repeal currently in full effect, the SSA is working through a substantial backlog of cases, and retroactive payments are being issued to those who were previously affected. If you think you might be in this category, it is absolutely worth contacting the SSA to discover whether you are owed back payments or whether your ongoing benefit amount should be recalculated. I additionally want to address something that comes up constantly among elderly individuals, and that is the question of Medicare and how it connects to these Social Security modifications. For most individuals, Medicare Part B premiums are deducted directly from your Social Security benefit. During 2026, the standard Medicare Part B premium has transformed, and for some beneficiaries, the income-related monthly adjustment amount known as IRMAA has additionally shifted. IRMAA is an additional surcharge that higher-income Medicare beneficiaries pay on top of the standard Part B premium, and it is based on your income from 2 years ago. Therefore, your 2026 determination is based on your 2024 income. If you had a substantial income event during 2024, perhaps you sold a property, took a large retirement account withdrawal, or had some other unusual income, it could be pushing your Medicare premiums higher than they would otherwise be. The crucial thing to understand is that you can appeal your determination if your income has since transformed. If you experienced what the SSA calls a life-changing event, retirement, divorce, death of a spouse, reduction in work hours, or loss of income producing property, you can file a form called the SSA 44 to request that your IRMAA be recalculated based on your current lower income rather than your income from 2 years ago. Numerous elderly individuals are paying more than they require to for Medicare simply because they don't understand this option exists. If that sounds like it could apply to you, please investigate it. Every dollar that comes out of your Social Security check for Medicare premiums is $1 less for groceries, utilities, and medicine. Getting that correct matters. Allow me additionally discuss something that does not receive nearly enough attention, and that is the situation facing surviving spouses. If you have lost a husband or wife who was drawing Social Security, your own benefit situation may have transformed in methods you haven't fully sorted through. A surviving spouse is generally entitled to draw the higher of their own benefit or the deceased spouse's benefit, but not both. This sounds straightforward, but in practice, it can be quite complex, especially if both spouses had their own work history and their own Social Security benefits. The timing of when you claim a survivor benefit versus your own retirement benefit can have a substantial impact on your long-term financial security. One of the most crucial things to comprehend is that if you are a surviving spouse who has not yet reached full retirement age, you can claim a reduced survivor benefit currently and then switch to your own retirement benefit later if it is higher, or vice versa. This two-benefit strategy can maximize your lifetime income from Social Security, but it requires careful planning and an understanding of how the figures operate. With the modifications implemented during 2026, the SSA has additionally revised some of its internal processing procedures for survivor claims, which indicates that if you have a pending survivor claim or you require filing one, the timeline and documentation requirements may be slightly different from what you experienced in the past. If you have not yet filed for Social Security at all, and you are attempting to figure out the optimal time to claim your benefit, I want to dedicate a moment on that as well, because it is one of the most crucial financial decisions you will ever make. You can claim Social Security retirement benefits as early as age 62. However, doing so permanently reduces your benefit. The reduction is not temporary, it is locked in for life. For every month before your full retirement age that you claim early, your benefit is reduced by a fraction of a percent. And when you add those fractions up, claiming at 62 instead of waiting until your full retirement age can indicate drawing 25 to 30% less money every month for the rest of your life. On the other hand, if you delay claiming past your full retirement age, your benefit grows by 8% per year until age 70. That is a guaranteed 8% annual return, something you would be hard-pressed to discover in any savings account or bond market in today's environment. The decision of when to claim is deeply personal and depends on factors like your health, your life expectancy, your immediate financial requirements, and whether you have a spouse whose survivor benefit depends on your claiming decision. However, the key point is this: do not claim early without really thinking it through. Too many elderly individuals file at 62 simply because they reached 62, and Social Security sent them a notice stating they were eligible. Eligible does not indicate optimal. I additionally want to make certain you are aware of a specific issue that has been causing enormous problems for elderly individuals during 2026, and that is identity-related fraud and scams targeting Social Security beneficiaries. The SSA has reported a substantial increase in fraudulent activity this year, with criminals posing as Social Security Administration employees calling or emailing beneficiaries and claiming that their Social Security number has been suspended, that they owe a debt to the government, or that they require verifying their information to continue drawing benefits. These scams are increasingly sophisticated, and they are specifically structured to target older Americans who may not be as familiar with how these schemes operate. Here is what you require understanding. The Social Security Administration will never call you and demand immediate payment. They will never inform you that your Social Security number has been suspended. They will never request you to pay a fine or a fee in gift cards, wire transfers, or cryptocurrency. If you draw a call like this, hang up. If you draw an email like this, do not click any links. If someone comes to your door claiming to be from the SSA, request identification, and then call the SSA directly to verify. The official SSA telephone number is 1-800-77-21213, and their website is ssa.gov. Any other number or website claiming to be the SSA should be treated with extreme suspicion. Currently, let's discuss what you should actually accomplish right now, today, as a result of everything we've covered in this video. The initial and most crucial thing is to create or log into your My Social Security account at ssa.gov. This online account provides you access to your complete Social Security earnings history, your estimated benefit amounts, your current benefit if you are already drawing one, and all official correspondence from the SSA. If you have not established this account, please accomplish it as soon as possible. Having this account indicates that if the SSA requires communicating with you about anything, you have the optimal chance of drawing that communication promptly and securely. Secondly, if you believe any of the modifications we have discussed today may apply to you, whether it is the SSI resource threshold modifications, the SSDI SGA limit revision, the Social Security Fairness Act repeal, the RMAA appeal process, or the survivor benefit regulations, pick up the telephone and call the SSA or visit your neighborhood Social Security location. I understand that can feel intimidating, and I understand the telephone lines are frequently long, but the potential financial impact of not addressing these things is far greater than the inconvenience of waiting on hold. If you have a complex situation, you may additionally want to consider consulting with a Social Security benefits counselor or an elder law attorney who specializes in these issues. Thirdly, if you have family members, adult children, grandchildren, other relatives who assist you manage your finances or your medical care, please share this information with them. Make certain someone in your life understands what benefits you draw, what accounts you have, what documents you would require in an emergency, and how to access your My Social Security account if something happens to you. None of us likes to think about worst-case scenarios, but being prepared is the most loving thing you can accomplish for the individuals who care about you. Fourth, remain informed. The Social Security landscape is transforming rapidly, and 2026 is just the beginning. There are legislative proposals currently moving through Congress that could further affect benefits, Medicare, and Medicaid in the coming years. Subscribe to official SSA communications, bookmark ssa.gov, and consider following trusted sources of information, whether that is a YouTube channel like this one, a neighborhood senior center newsletter, or a nonprofit advocacy organization, so that you are never caught off guard by modifications that affect your financial security. And finally, take a deep breath. I understand this is a lot of information, and I understand it can feel overwhelming, but the fact that you are here watching this video, requesting these questions, and seeking to comprehend what is happening that indicates you are ahead of the curve. The elderly individuals who get hurt by these modifications are the ones who do not understand about them. You understand, and that knowledge is power. The Social Security program was built on a simple promise that if you worked hard, played by the regulations, and contributed throughout your life, the government would be there for you when you required it most. That promise is still alive, but it requires all of us to remain engaged, remain informed, and hold the program accountable. You have earned every dollar of that benefit. Do not allow confusion, fear, or lack of information expense you what is rightfully yours. We are going to continue covering everything you require understanding about Social Security, Medicare, and retirement security right here on this channel. Every video we produce is structured specifically for you. Clear, honest, detailed information without the confusing government jargon that makes people's eyes glaze over. If you discovered this video helpful, the optimal thing you can accomplish right now is share it with someone you understand who draws Social Security. Share it with your neighbor, your friend from church, your sibling, your parent, because the more individuals who understand about these modifications, the more protected our complete community becomes. Thank you so much for dedicating this time with us today. What you accomplish with this information matters. Remain informed, remain protected, and we will see you in the next